Hey guys.
Hey everyone.
Hi everyone. Hello.
Hello. What's happening?
Yowza.
Bob says he's stuck in traffic.
Stuck in traffic.
Was that loud, Ian? Sorry.
No.
Evan
said, hey, Bob is stuck in traffic apparently.
Yeah, so he's running a little bit late.
Yeah, but can we trust him, Steve? I mean, is he telling the truth?
But if he's running, why is he in traffic?
Yeah.
Evan, sorry. I stepped on that.
Evan,
no, that was fun. Yeah, I'm good. I'm hanging in there. It's tax season, so I'm, that's what I'm doing.
I bet.
Fun season it's going to be.
How long does that workload last? Like
what's full one?
Yes.
Now, we got to get that out of the way. How long does that workload last? That's a great question. It actually is carved up into chunks. But right now, technically, we've got deadlines coming up March 15th for partnerships and some corporations. We've got deadlines coming up for April 15th. As you all know, that's considered the tax day for individuals and estates and trusts. And then I've got a May 15th deadline for nonprofit organizations. And that's just the people who don't go on extension or the organizations that don't go on extension. Then after that, I hit the extensions season, which takes me till about, middle of September or so is when I like to have just about everything wrapped up.
Oh my God.
Yep. That's the way it goes.
Then you
start like a full-time job.
Yeah, I know.
That's right. And I start all over again.
And you get 1 week off.
Plus I do a lot of other things. I actually do more than just, tax work. I do some other forms of accounting, bookkeeping for corporations, and I'm actually the comptroller of a company right now, if you can believe it.
Cool.
Yeah, they're having issues. So, they're a shadow of kind of what they used to be. So they just needed someone to come in and deal with a lot of the, red tape and bureaucratic crap that goes on. So they hired me to do that, and I've been doing that for the last year.
How much comp do you troll?
All of it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Whatever goes in the compost pile, I troll.
Are you in total control now?
I am. I have assumed control.
So Ev, I was over with Ian at the studio this week.
Yes.
And I turn around and Steve is standing there with that katana behind him.
Like ready to Hassan chop you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I got
in the position, or
it was a little dicey there. No, he was just basically
dicey.
He didn't have shoes on, so I think he was ready.
That was funny. Yeah, Steve wasn't wearing shoes, and I thought it fitted the aesthetic. But
He's wearing
He,
sandals, a sheet, and his hair was tied back in a ponytail.
he was very excited to show it to me, and I got to tell you, man, it's beautiful. It's really like, I've held lots of swords in my life. I've been lucky enough to, handle a lot of different swords in my day. I really like swords. Jesus, Steve,
And a
that
Batlift.
sword is gorgeous. Yeah, and the Batlift. The sword is gorgeous. It's gorgeous, and it's weird. It's so well balanced that when you hold it and you just heft it just a little bit, it feels like it's cutting through the air. Like it feels like it's hard to describe. It just feels perfect in your hand.
Yeah, that's a really good feel to it. It's very tight. There's nothing loose about it at all. It's light for the size of the weapon that it is, but it feels really solid.
So, Steve, Steve gave me and Ian like a good 10-minute explanation of like the sword and how, what the deal is with the steel today and everything. So real quick, so Steve like makes this point that they used to have to fold steel because they needed to even out the impurities, right? They wanted them evenly distributed so it wasn't, fragile in any particular place. But today you don't have to even think about that because you can get steel from the factory that's 100% pure, right?
Yeah.
So now literally like the next day I'm watching something on my phone and this guy is like, he's like, I have Damascus Steel, right? Which
Damascus is different. But go ahead. I know what you're going to say, but go ahead.
So then he goes, I'm going to fold this 400 times. And I'm just sitting there going, you idiot. Don't you realize that steel, you could buy like super high-end steel for incredibly cheap. Like you don't even have to do that. Folding, it doesn't exist anymore.
All right. So you're correct, but
yeah,
Damascus steel is an aesthetic. It's not about the purity of the steel. You use two different kinds of steel alternating, and then you fold them so that you get like a grainy pattern in them. Then you acid etch it to bring out the relief. So it's all about how the steel looks. It's no better than mono steel. Mono steel is probably better, but you do it just because the blade. I'll show you. The blade looks cool. 1 second.
But it was funny because I got this download from Steve, and the next thing I know,
and then you can do different things. Like there are different patterns you can cut into the Damascus.
Standby.
But it has nothing to do with the quality of the steel. It's all about the pattern. So you see the pattern in the steel?
Not really. Let me see.
But I know what you're talking about. When you're there, seeing
right there, you see?
Yeah. It has a little bit of like a almost like a kaleidoscopy vibe to it, right?
Yeah. So that's Damascus.
Iridescent kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the fold count makes this pattern more detailed. Higher's not necessarily better. It's just different. Sometimes a low fold count could look more grainy or whatever, more bold. It depends on what you're going for.
Is it usable though, Steve? Or is it
totally?
It is. Okay, so it's not inferior.
100%.
Does it deflect lightsabers?
It's OP.
It's two kinds of steel, either of which would be perfectly fine as blade steel, but you fold them together. Like one has a higher nickel count is usually what it comes down to.
All right, so he was going for that. He was going for the ripple effect. Okay, I thought, see, this is like the typical skeptic, man. I'm armed with a new piece of information. I'm like, look at that idiot right there. That guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
But if they call it Damascus steel, then they're going for that aesthetic. But some people do think like, oh, the more you fold it, the better it is. But that's not the case. It's just about the way it looks. The best you could do is to get up as good as mono steel, right?
Yeah.
But like a good, really good like mono steel, like spring steel or whatever, like depending on what kind of blade you're looking for, is going to be the best. The thing is, when you do Damascus steel, there's the potential to make it worse, right? You could screw it up. And you could make it so that you get, imperfections in the steel when you do it. So if you don't do a good job of the Damascus process, you could be less than 100%.
Yeah.
So, but it can never get better. Like you can't get better than just modern industrial mono steel.
That is so awesome. Like we've basically mastered.
We've perfected steel. I mean,
like you could get it 100% pure. It's not even expensive, So and think about that.
But some people like to make blades out of recycled steel, recovered steel. So then again, you might be like using an anchor or something, whatever, using something that you've reclaimed, and then you're trying to make steel out of that. And then, of course, the forging process and folding and everything becomes very important because you're trying to. But again, the best you could do is to get close to where you would be if you just bought a chunk of steel to make your whatever you want to make out of it. Yeah. One thing that's really pretty is you take copper and nickel and you fold them, and you can't make a blade out of it, but you could use that for the accents on something, on a blade or something else. That's really, really pretty, like the copper nickel folded together like that in that pattern.
Is aluminum not viable to make a weapon out of like that? Like, could it hold an edge and all that? Do you know? I wonder.
Does what?
I wonder if aluminum in any way can.
No, can't hold an edge.
It can't hold an edge.
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, nothing holds an edge as good as steel. Nothing. Like titanium is stronger, has a greater specific strength than steel, but you wouldn't make an edge out of it.
Yeah.
And a mild steel you can't, like nickel, copper, all those other things don't really hold an edge like steel does. The thing about steel, this is the huge innovation, because even if you think about, this is something I didn't realize until fairly recently, actually, that you think of like iron is better than bronze, right? Because the Iron Age came after the Bronze Age, but it's not really true. I mean, that was kind of a lateral move from bronze to iron. And in some ways, bronze is actually superior to iron. The reason for the switch was because iron's made out of one metal, iron. Bronze is made out of two, copper and tin.
That's right.
And so you had to source two different, metals from two different cities or regions or whatever, and they couldn't sustain it. Like it was just became economically was a lot easier to just shift to one alloy, one element. But then once they figured out how to make steel out of iron, that was basically it's a carbon alloy of steel, and you get what's called hardenable steel if you get the right carbon, the right percentage of carbon.
We got Bob here. Let me bring you in.
Hey, Bob.
What's up, punks?
The hardenable.
Bob, how was traffic?
It was wonderful. Talking about steel again, huh?
Yeah, so Jay, I showed Jay the sword finally earlier this week. But you can alter the crystal size, right, in the steel by what temperature you heat it up to, and then how quickly you cool it down to what temperature. So you go through a cycle, and and this is the thing about industrial steel. They have it dialed into the degree. Like if you get it hand forged, they might be using a thermometer, but they might just be saying, "Oh, it's a glowing light orange, perfect." Then they cool it in something, in oil. They may or may not take the temperature of the oil. But if you're doing like an industrial process, they got it dialed in to the 10th of a degree. Yeah. They know exactly what temperature to quench that specific steel at in order to get the perfect grain size to get the quality that they want, whether it's strong or hard, to something to hold an edge. So yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, we think about like the ancient steel, as if like it has this mystique, or like the Japanese smiths from the Middle Ages or whatever. Doesn't come close to modern industrial steel. We got that process dialed in so precisely. There's so many different alloys, so many different ways to make the steel.
So we could make a katana today way better than they could in Japan,
totally.
150, 200 years ago.
Totally, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I watched...
In terms of the quality of the steel,
Definitely. So I watched... I was on a tear for a little while where I was really into like the people that build stuff by hand, build a hut in the woods, that type of thing. And these guys like built their own, coal-fired kind of furnace, but it was all like made out of mud and wood.
Oh, you've seen those videos?
Yeah. So I'm watching
videos.
And this video I saw made me appreciate metallurgy like I never did before. They were picking up rocks out of a lake bed, or a riverbed. Then they had some type of process where they could extract the iron out of the rocks. And it was a ton of rock that they were pulling from. And they were literally picking, when I say a ton, like it was probably like, enough rock to fill 2 wheelbarrows, right? Like this is a lot of rock that they were dealing with in their little furnace that they had. They go through this thing and they melt it down. It took a long time to do it. And then they're like breaking through like what's left over, and they're finding tiny, tiny little nodules of iron. Think about that. To get enough that maybe would fit in the palm of your hand, right? And then they reforge that and make like a little tiny knife with it. And it was like, a week's worth of work to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And think about where we are today. Like just think about that. Imagine like having to source iron the way that they were doing it, which is impressive all by itself. I mean, it was a really interesting process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my God, like, making a whole sword worth of iron, that could be hundreds of people's, labor for months to get enough iron to do something on that level.
You should get your slaves.
Yeah. Well, that's why, like, back then, the metallurgy was everything. Like the forging. I mean, this is the funny thing, because I've been watching Forge and Fire. I've been reading a lot about it. Just like my little hobby is just studying about it. I've had a long interest in steel. I've read about it over the years, partly for writing D&D campaigns. I wanted to make a whole bunch of different kinds. It's true. Like I want to flesh out the weaponry in my world and know at one point, like what would be like if I had to buy the single best sword that modern technology could make.
Yeah.
Like no holds barred on the technology. What would it be?
Like the most versatile. When you say best, though, I mean, how do you qualify best?
Best sword as a sword.
Diamond edge sword.
So the answer I came up with was steel. Like there's still nothing better than steel. You know, I thought there would be some advanced titanium alloy or whatever. It's like, no, it's freaking steel.
Yeah, but that's why, because we've got so used
for how long
to it,
though?
It seems mundane to us, right? But steel, I mean, the chemistry of steel and the way that the like Steve was saying, like they have dialed it down to a science where they know exactly what to do. When you get to that level of fine tuning, I mean, steel is remarkable.
Yeah, well, so the real modern innovation that we're on the cusp of right now is sort of nano structuring the alloys or the metals. So that's going to be the next step. So maybe in 20 years, the answer will be nano structured steel.
And how much of advance will that be? Like just or like a leap?
Well, based on like the metamaterials that are coming out and everything, I think it will be a leap. I mean, I think there's probably possible to imagine. If you could structure the steel so that it has like optimal hardness and strength, but weighs 20 to 30% of what a regular steel sword the same size would weigh, for example, or like the edge just is so much stronger than you would get from just regular steel. But
Steve, what about, we covered on the show recently some materials that were exceeding steel in some critical characteristics.
In strength. But the thing that's still kind of unique about steel is that it's the combination of strength and hardness.
Right.
It's that it can be, especially if you
it won't shatter.
If you engineer it properly, structure it properly, heat treat it properly, you can have a really incredible combination of strength, flexibility, but with a really hard edge. And it's you can't get that with any other single material,
Mm-hmm.
But what's funny is, now that I have, again, I'm not an expert or anything, but I have like a lay person, an enthusiast's kind of basic knowledge of forging and steel and things like that. Like anything, once you know a little bit about it, then you see how it's depicted in the mainstream media.
Yeah.
And you like, it's like how horrible it is.
And then Dunning-Kruger kicks in.
Yeah, the whole I didn't realize how stupid all of this was. This has nothing to do with how it actually works. Like, Jay, I know you've played Skyrim. I don't know if either of you guys play Skyrim. So they have like a Skyrim, it's the video game, but there's blacksmiths in there, and they're like always forging in the background, doing their thing. And I started paying attention to what the animators had these guys doing.
Yeah,
and it makes absolutely no sense.
What were they doing? What were they
doing? So, for example,
that's awesome. Steve's played the game so much that he'll be like, "Let me just see what these background video game characters are doing." With
watching the movie, the audience is running away from the collapsing.
I'm dying to hear this.
For example, I do have a taunt. I'll show it to you in a minute. For example, so they have like the blanks, the steel, the sword-shaped steel, sitting in the forge, just sitting there.
Yeah,
like. Getting hotter and hotter. So that's a good way to melt your steel. That would destroy the steel. Yeah. So you would never just leave it in. They're like have a coal fire, forge going, and they're leaving the steel in there. It would have been destroyed long ago. Then so they take an iron out of the fire, they bang on the hot end, and then they dunk it in water while it's still hot. Like it's not even into shape.
Yeah, don't they
time to quench it? No, it's time to quench it now.
It's basically a summary of the whole process that they tried to get to.
They just wanted that cool sound when like the steel hits the water. But it's like it makes absolutely like no sense. But even beyond that, like you watch whether it's like the Hobbit movies, you know, with they show a little bit of the dwarves forging. It's like all nonsensical, or even like Dragon Slayer, where like the guy heats up the forge to forge the Dragon Slayer weapon, and then the mage goes, we need hotter fire than that. Like,
that's cool.
He heats it up magically. It's like, okay, it's not like the hotter the better. Like the hotter you make the steel, the better the forge is going to be. There's a perfect forging temperature. You know, so getting hotter would actually just ruin the steel. You actually burn the carbon out of the steel.
Yeah, I believe in that movie they were trying to get it to make a better edge, a sharper edge. Which you're right,
not
Steve.
how you do it.
I never realized that.
There's a sweet spot.
But wasn't that a cool scene in that movie? Though?
Yeah,
like
I know that's
really
the thing.
cool.
It's like listening to George talk about that drumming movie where like they make every drumming trope stupid idea about what. I know it's the same thing. Once you know a little bit about something, like every movie depiction of it just seems like, what are they even thinking? They have no idea what's going on.
Steve, you came up with a YouTube channel idea just now. What are NPC characters doing in the background of video games? Like that could be kind of funny. You know, you'd have to really be involved with video games a lot. But because I played The Witcher 3, and I noticed that they did a good job with the background characters. You know, the background characters don't seem to be doing ridiculous stuff. Like they're kind of doing like what you would expect. It was very, very high quality when it came to that. But I didn't do a deep dive like Steve did and just sit there for 15 minutes. I just noticed. So I wanted to tell Bob and Steve, because Bob, where the hell? What happened, Bob?
Bob's gone.
Lost him.
He needs better lighting.
Turning off that light on the bookshelf is really fading out. Everything
is Evan lagging? I think Evan's back.
No,
now.
I see Evan.
Yeah, it's a little
lagging.
weak.
My video was kind
a little,
getting a little ones and zeros there.
Last week I started baking bread.
Oh, you better take it out of the oven. It's burning.
No, the longer you leave it in there, the better. Like Steve.
Right, like Dragon Slayer.
The hotter you heat up the oven, the better.
The oven, the better
1,200 degrees.
The harder you hit it, the better it's going to be.
And I'm like on the very beginning of the learning curve. I'm just making some basic Italian bread. It's it has 4 ingredients. It's very, very easy.
Do you have anything for me to sample tonight?
Yes, I will. I will bake a fresh loaf of bread when you guys get here. That's what I wanted to tell you.
All right.
But before we get there, so we can eat it when we get there.
It'll be better if I take it fresh out of the oven.
Right.
It takes Bob. It takes like 15 minutes to cook it. It's no big deal.
All right.
But I've been reading a lot, right? So I'm like, my spare time, I'm like, let me learn about like bread making. You know what I mean? And again, like what Steve was saying, like it's so there's so much to it. Yeah. There's so many things to know, and so many things that change the chemistry of the process. Down to like, what are you cooking the bread on? And that has a huge impact on the outcome of the bread. So I had to buy a really big pizza stone, like a bread stone or a pizza stone. And just that alone, I mean, I researched that for like, I probably spent a good hour just reading about that product and what the best one is and why and how does it work and all that stuff. It's complicated. And you guys know Bruce Press is a damn good baker, right?
Yeah.
He does it at home, but he's freaking awesome.
I've had some of his bread. It's awesome.
Yeah, his bread is awesome. I even hit him up for info. He was giving me a little, some tips on stuff.
Yeah, I was making bread for a while. I made some.
You did last year.
2 years ago, maybe now.
Yeah.
Some of the sourdough.
It was great.
Do you have some of your sourdough going, Jay, or no? You're not.
No, I haven't even started that. I'm just making. So what is the sourdough yeast? What's the difference between that and just standard yeast?
You don't add yeast. I mean, you could at the end when you're baking it, but you just make dough, like you mix it with water, and you let the yeast grow from within the flour itself.
Wait, the natural yeast that's already in there?
Yeah.
So it takes a long time, and then you have like a starter, right?
And then what you do is you have like your starter, and then you have to feed it every day, and then you have to keep it moist, keep it covered, and then after like a week or 2 weeks, you'll have like a good starter, and then you could use that as the yeast for your loaf of bread, right? You take some of it and you use that to make the bread out of. That's why they call it starter. And you could maintain it forever, just keep adding flour to it. It takes a lot of flour, like you're using a lot of flour just for your yeast batch. So I did that for a while. I was baking bread for a while. I got to the point where I made some decent loaves of bread. Then I just sort of, lost interest. But I want to get back into doing it. I think I got too sidetracked on the sourdough. I want to do what you're doing. I want to learn how to make like really good Italian bread.
Yeah, and I'm going to go as far as
just add yeast rather than trying to use a sourdough starter.
Yeah, I want to. Did Keith just donate some money, Ian? It looks like.
Yes, Keith. Thank you. It says Maya, I believe, is probably keeps a pan of water in the bottom of the oven, which makes the best bread.
Yeah, the pan of water, you need steam in the air to make the bread crusty, right? To make it crunchy on the outside. That's what the water is. Like I'm talking like from authority, but that's how.
I also read, Jay, you could put water on the outside of the loaf, like when you break it, you just coat it with water or with egg or with milk.
Yep.
Right. You could, and I think Italian bread is probably more water, but other kinds of bread you could like coat it with different things.
Well, to get
that crusty surface.
This guy was just putting a baking sheet in the oven underneath the pizza stone where the bread dough was, right? And then he would just put ice cubes on there. That was the way that he was getting water into the oven. So because that is a vital component to make the bread really crunchy, which I didn't realize, which I think is really interesting. I don't know why physics wise what it does, but it definitely does that. So by the way, Keith, if you guys remember, Keith is the guy who made my gaming table.
Okay.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah, one of the.
Is he working on mine now?
Well, I did have to pay him. He didn't like to ship it to me for free. It was a lot of work, man.
Oh yeah, those gaming tables can be works of art, though. They're wonderful.
Oh, I love my table.
And heavy. I injured myself for 3 months.
Yeah, Bob helped me move that table in the house. I don't think I told Keith that.
Thanks, Bob.
That when we moved the table in the house, it was so freaking believably heavy because it was
lined with lead.
It must have been
neutronium.
That it was solid walnut. It was all
beautiful
walnut. That Bob hurt himself, and it took you 3 months to recover from that. I had that table smush my toe a little bit too. It wasn't that bad, but it's scary.
That's a new level of nerd, Jay, when you have a gaming table in your house.
Well, wait, just to explain.
Your major piece of furniture in your house is your gaming table.
It is.
Harry was designing a whole
he was
with a gaming table, and that was 2005 or 6.
Shouldn't the whole house be for gaming?
Non sequitur, but sure.
But my game, Ian, you're correct. If you're a true gamer, like everything is But this table, if you just look at it, it just looks like a beautiful, handmade wooden table. But the center comes out, right? I could take the leaves out of the center, and it's got a dropped.
Take the leaves out, and there's a whole bunch of nerd in there.
Yes, there totally is. And I mean, this was very hard for Keith to pull off, but the table has electricity, right? Every leg has an outlet on it. Absolutely. Yeah, we had a blast. I mean, it was a ton of fun going through the whole process, and just picking the wood and everything. But there was a ton of details. I mean, and he had to, a lot of times during the build process, he had to like stop and really think like, how am I going to pull this off? And, it was a complicated series of events that got to the final delivery. But my God, is it worth it? Christ, we are so happy. We use that table every weekend. We're on that table.
Yeah.
We love it.
So here's I've had this for a long time.
Yes, I recognize that.
Yeah, this is I don't know if it's technically a Tonto. I think Tontos are bigger. This is more like just like a dagger size.
Your ceremonial.
It's got the same basic. It's not ceremonial.
Open it up. Pull it out, man.
So this also has the. I don't know if you could see it.
It didn't make the shing sound.
I could see it, Steve.
The Hamon line.
Yeah. Turn it right
there.
Yeah, there
it is.
Don't move. So, Steve, what is that sword for specifically? Because in the movies,
I think.
Yeah, you only see people killing themselves with that one.
Yeah, that's not true. That may be the sword they use to kill themselves, but that's not what it's for.
Well, they cut bread with it, you know.
No. So generally, like a samurai, they would have two swords in their belt, right? They'd have a katana and a tanto, like the shorter one. Mm-hmm. And the shorter one was in case they got into combat indoors and they needed a shorter blade that they could maneuver, because the katana would be too long to really fight in an indoor or cramped setting.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. They didn't carry it around just in case they needed to kill themselves. it was for close quarters combat. That's what it was for.
Yeah, I mean,
and there's also there's an O katana. The O katana is longer than the katana. It's a really long katana. And that was more for like taking riders off of horses and things like that.
Now, Steve, there is all that, from my, years of being a Kung Fu fan, Kung Fu movies, right? Because it's based on, probably not based on reality at all. But what is the sword that a ninja uses where it's a straight samurai-like sword? What is that one?
I don't remember the name of it. I'm sure somebody does, but there are tons of different weapons used in Japanese military. Someone said wakizashi. I think that's correct. The katana is the most famous one because it's the samurai sword, But they had weapons that were used by the foot soldiers, by other levels of military for different purposes. So one of the things that's fascinating about when I did started really doing a deep dive on sword making is how engineered they are. Like, again, like we think of weapons like it's a piece of steel, but they're engineered in every dimension. You know what I mean? Like the cross section, the shape of the edge, the shape of the blade itself, and they're engineered typically for a specific purpose. Mm-hmm. It's like, why is the sword shaped this way? Because it was used to get over the shields of their enemy or whatever, or it was used to be used from horseback or against a horse rider or against armor, or in a city when you're not going to have armor on, you would use a lighter weapon. So there's different weapons that are designed for different purposes, and not just designed, but engineered in terms of like their cross-sectional area. So it is fascinating.
Totally.
And it's like anything, when you do a deep dive, and this is the most important lesson, you do a deep dive on it, you realize
how little you know.
How little you know about everything else. Like there's you could do this, you could be, and again, I have a moderate to an enthusiast level of knowledge, not an expert level of knowledge, and already it's like, wow, there's a whole science here, a whole culture, a history that is so deep, that you just didn't even know was there, and there's just so many things like that in the world,
The last week and a half of my shenanigans on Facebook, I've been going on this humility tear. Like you have to be humble, right? So it's one of the core tenets of being a skeptic. You have to have some freaking humility, or else you're going to think that you're smart or smarter than the experts, and that we're suffering from a lack of respect for expertise in the world.
Yeah.
And it's probably worse now than ever, than in the last 50 years, probably. What is that, Bob?
It's just a fake bug.
Oh, no.
Eat it.
I went to a horror convention a long time ago, and somebody really nice gave me a bunch of free bugs.
That's cool.
So sometimes I glue them on my zombie costumes.
Bob, remember
the sign said free hugs, but there was a typo, and they had
either way, I'm good.
Bob, remember when we met? Oh God, you kidding me? Who was our favorite? Our favorite old school makeup artist.
Favorite old school what?
Makeup artist.
Oh, Tom
Rob
Savini?
Baker.
Tom Savini. Bob and I met Tom Savini, and Tom Savini was doing the Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, back in the 80s.
Night of the Dead, Afternoon of the Dead.
Maniac.
Yes. Brunch of the Dead. And we got to meet him, and it was so freaking awesome. Like, because we really got into the makeup. We would be watching the show and talking about how good the special makeup effects are. That was awesome.
He was like it for like horror movies and splatter movies. He was the king for years.
Choke on him.
I think his best Jay was Day of the Dead. He really pulled out some amazing, very simple like makeup illusions where the guy's like under the table and his head is real and his whole body is fake.
Yep.
They could do some amazing stuff. Or the body was real and the head was fake, and it was like almost no head.
I remember.
So Evil Critter says, I worked with Tom Savini on Land of the Dead. Is that you being serious? Is that correct?
Oh, I worked at Tom.
If that's true, Ian, email him right now.
Get him on the show.
Get him on the show. I want to talk to him right now.
Yeah.
All right.
Invite.
You know the way.
Get in here.
We're going to call you on your claim.
Yeah, we have a couple super chats.
That's right. And get Tom on here too.
Wait. Let me help facilitate this.
Okay.
Email us at info@theskepticsguide.org. Ian will get that email with your email address, and he will email you a link to join us on the show. Seriously, if you're interested, please do it, because I would love to talk to you about that. Like right now.
You want to do it right now?
Yeah,
right now.
Without vetting Evil Critter, even though Evil Critter has been here for a long time.
I've seen him, on the chat.
I don't know.
Jay, he says he was Nicotero's assistant.
What?
And you're going to vet him for us in real time.
Get out of here.
Oh,
Email.
He's the shit. That's
if you want. We have a couple of super chats.
Ever.
What's that? Ian?
We have a couple super chats while we're
yes,
in
let's
the
do it.
super shit. Saw you guys in Fort Collins and wondered what you think about fans selfishly asking you questions about personal subjects only they care about, like I'm doing in the super chat. So meta.
It's fine. I don't mind. The only time I would say that you have to be careful about that is when they ask me for medical advice. Because I can't give you medical advice, right? I mean, it's unethical, and there's a lot of good reasons why it's unethical. Ask my brothers; I don't give anybody medical advice. All I will do is troubleshoot for you. I will get you to the right specialist, but but there's a very good reason for that. We call that curbsiding, like when you just get a quick opinion from somebody. Like we used to do that for consults, where another service, instead of putting in a full consult, they would go, let me just ask you a quick question. I got this guy with the thing, and what do I do there? And we actually, they're against policy now. We do not allow curbsides. Mm-hmm. It's a full consult or nothing.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're in this gray zone. Was that a consult or not? Are you medical legally responsible for the advice?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Or not, so you got to do a full consult and it's got to be documented, etc. But same thing, if I'm going to give you medical advice, I need to take a full medical history. I need to have access to your medical records, and I need to do a full exam. And if I don't have those things, my advice is not appropriate.
It's flawed.
It's not adequate.
It's already hard enough, right? It's already a hard enough.
It's already hard. Well, yeah, depending on what it is, but so I could give you bad advice because I don't know something about your history that I would know if I had access to your medical records. So all I could do is, I always say, listen, I can't give you medical advice, or I can't manage your problem. I could give you I could talk generally about this topic,
or point you in a direction,
and I could point you in the right direction. This is the kind of specialist you should be asking that question.
And honestly, Steve, that is the best advice to give, right? Like anytime I ask you for advice, you getting directed to the right kind of doctor, because sometimes I don't even know what doctor you need.
It's not always obvious if you're not an expert.
Yeah. But yeah, my answer to the question is, I got to tell you, throughout the 25 plus years of us doing skepticism, and the podcast is in its 17th year now. I mean, I've only had a couple of incidents where I got really angry at someone that came up to talk to us. The vast majority is awesome, right? Right, guys? The people that we meet, it's just lots of great conversations and really cool, just good people, no issues at all. That one guy, it was that one time that George had to save me from that guy that was insulting me and my wife. You guys remember that? We were in Australia and the guy was drunk. And he was basically he was talking and telling me and my wife that we look similar enough that we're having an incestuous relationship.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And George was standing 3 feet to my right.
Oh yeah.
I was floored. And I didn't really know what to do. This is very early on in our career, and I didn't have my chops there yet. George walked over and was like, "What the hell are you doing?" He tells the guy off. He told the guy off right on the spot. How
George
dare
has
you?
No tolerance for that.
No tolerance for that shit.
But that's good general advice: is don't come up to us drunk.
Yes. Ooh, yeah.
We don't want
to avoid that.
I don't think I could think of one interaction with a drunk fan that was a positive experience for us. It's always a negative experience.
She wasn't.
No. I mean, I've talked to lots of drunk people at conferences where I wasn't drunk and they were just fine. It's mostly like, if you're a nasty drunk, don't come near us because we don't want to deal with it. No, but we've had it's been wonderful. It's been awesome. We've had great experiences with our listeners.
Yeah, and as far as them asking questions, like Steve said, just beyond the medical stuff. Yeah, I don't think there's anything otherwise inappropriate or kind of out of bounds that
I have to say,
we've had to deal with.
Most people know not to ask me for free medical advice, right? They know, they're like, I know they're always a little sheepish. They're like, I know you can't give me advice, but I'm just wondering if, they usually they get it, but it's good to reinforce that. That's really the only line that you need to be aware of, other than just basic social stuff that you don't need us to tell you, right? What not to do.
All right, go ahead, Ian.
What do you think about this listener here?
Read it.
Can we as a skeptic movement make a movement to join the rest of the metric world or metric using world, please?
We're 100% for it.
Is this 100%. Metric Maven speaking?
Right?
I think it's another minion.
Movement called Metric Maven's
minion.
Yeah,
we're ready.
Constantly pushing that. So absolutely. I mean, I think that we should. The world should be on one standard.
But you say abandon the imperial system. Is what you really mean.
That
we really do use both.
We use both. We use both all the time.
Right.
Yeah. We buy soda by the liter. We don't think
Yeah, we're kind of accustomed to it. I mean, we could make it. I mean, I am perfectly happy to go through the pain of learning the ins and outs.
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it.
Yeah. I do like Fahrenheit. That for
here we go.
environmental temperature. For environmental temperature, I think Fahrenheit's a better scale. That's a personal thing. But and there's no particular advantage to Celsius. It's not as scaled as well for environmental temperature. But other than that one exception, metric is better.
And it's not going to happen anytime soon in this country. I'll tell you that much. This country, the United States, is so completely effed up. The last thing anybody gives a crap about is switching over to the metric system, right? We can't.
I know, but we should just do it.
I agree, Steve, but I'm just saying our politicians can't get out. They literally bump into each other going in the bathroom. These idiots, we can't get out of our own.
But
we got to get rid of daylight savings too. There's some common sense things that we can't do. It's so frustrating.
There are changes that can happen without the government making it happen. It can be societal.
I agree.
If the big tech companies decide we're going metric and we're going to start measuring everything metric, eventually people will.
Yeah, that might be enough. That might be enough.
Don't really need laws. I don't think to force
it. It helps. I mean, it helps to put money behind it. That's the thing. School books would have to be changed. That's huge.
And signs,
right?
The road signs.
It's the thing is there's benefit on the back end though too. There's benefit for industry. So the industry would have one standard, especially the more global we get. You won't have to have, like miles per hour for the American market and kilometers per hour for the Canadian market or whatever. What do you guys think about this? For the whole world deciding either to drive on the left or the right.
I was just going to say that.
And that's
there's only two countries, I think, right, Steve, that are driving on.
No. It's a pretty even mix. I think population-wise, it's a little bit more on the right than the left. We looked into this a while ago.
Is it worth it? Is it worth that effort?
I thought it was significantly more on the right, but
I'm just asking the question. It would certainly, it certainly would have been better if every country decided originally the same side. Like we're going to standardize traffic worldwide 120 years ago. Like if that happened, then that would have been a good thing. Now that is the UK really going to completely shift their cars, their traffic signs, their roads, everything? That's a huge ask. That's a huge ask.
Yeah.
I think it's too late for that. But
there'd be a lot of danger. Bad things happen. A lot of people would die from that. And somebody said let's switch over to a 24-hour clock. I think that's a great idea. Why shouldn't we distinguish? 1 p.m. to 1 a.m. It's just.
I'd like that. It just makes so much more sense.
Yeah. Military time, yeah.
Take a little while to internalize that, but I think it's definitely
I got
a better system.
And some European countries.
1745 right now on the East Coast.
Some European countries very much talk about the weeks as numbered weeks of the year, right? So it's like, week 15, which is very, I mean, I couldn't wrap my head around that at all. Couldn't, that's like, so you really need to learn that. That's hard to remember what's what.
That would work if there were like 10 months in a year.
Sure.
Then you could kind of.
All right, we'll make. I'll make this deal with the world. All right,
here we go. Let's do this.
We will give up two things.
Okay.
We will give up the imperial system. We'll go fully metric, even Celsius. We'll go fully metric, and we'll start using international dating, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll switch around how we do. So in other words, we do like month, day, year. Everyone else is year, month, day. So we'll switch that. We'll make those two changes, and you have to drive on the right side of the road.
Sure.
Is that a good deal?
That's I think we get a short end of that deal because
it's all magnanimous. We'll do it.
But Evan, it's all a move forward in the right direction,
Maybe. Worthy of more debate in the future.
Are you saying you hate America, Jay? I don't understand.
I don't hate my country. I hate the people that are running my country. I mean,
I've got
can't be happy about
video. I've got a damn video playing in the background. I don't know where it's coming from.
You got to mute one of
my tabs.
Poor Bob.
Mute one of your tabs, yeah.
Poor Bob.
Oh yeah, well I probably got about 100 tabs, so.
Oh, God, Bob, my favorite mute site. That is one of my favorite.
Yeah, mute all.
Oh, I love mute
I did
site.
snipe a comment. Somebody was asking, "Is Boomer versus Zoomer a dead project?"
No.
Let's
talk about it. Let's talk about it, Ian.
Let's talk about
no.
God, it's not dead at all.
Yeah.
Oh no.
There's been some down.
Games never die, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
it's a little dead because you're changing it to Boomer versus Zombie, so it's like half dead.
Anybody know what the
Zombies
shape of
win,
blade is
by the
called?
way.
Wow, we are on like 3 subjects now. Okay, cool.
What is a saber? I don't know.
The shape?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fish.
I used to know.
Does
it begin with a T?
No, mine's more straight than that, but
I can't remember.
This is a recurve, but if you have a recurve with with a this kind of point, I guess is that a drop point? No. And then it's a kukri. This is a kukri.
Kukri.
And now I'm listening to a Geico commercial.
Bob,
get your web pages under control.
Yeah, Bob.
What do you
picture audio?
So
BVZ.
Boomer versus Zoomer is not dead. So what? There's been a lot going on, but in short, we have we're in a full out build session right now to build it out as a live game show as well, so we could run it both as a streaming game and as an in-person live game. So we've been focusing on some other projects. We definitely want to get back to doing the live stream version of the show. It's just that we're super busy. There's only so much bandwidth that we have. Excuse me. But the live version we think is going to be really special, and we're super excited about it. And Ian and I have been working very, very hard on putting together that live set, the electronics and everything. It's very complicated.
Up next week.
The machine that drops the green goo on everyone, is that working okay?
Yes, that's definitely right.
Cool.
I'll put some videos on Patreon for the patrons, like lenses and stuff, if you want to see the set.
By the way, Patrick Carr in the chat is 100% correct. I made this point before. If they just made boiling 200 degrees Celsius, the boiling point of water, it would have been perfect. Would have been fine. But they blew it. They had to make it 100, and then now it's too short a scale. Yeah.
Well, that was a better trade then. We'll go metric and everything if they change.
But Celsius goes to water boils at 200.
Yes,
that's a good trade.
I'll do that deal.
That's a good trade. Better than the right side of it.
What was the question?
Well, we're gonna the proposal Steve made earlier. We're modifying it. The rest of the world has to change Celsius to be at 200, 0 to 200, as opposed to 0 to 100. That's the trade.
But wouldn't it be amazing though if we lived in a world, maybe not like the whole world working in, total like conjunction with each other, but it wouldn't be wonderful if countries could actually just make decisions quickly, and progress moved at a much more palpable state. Like it just is irritating when you could see things that clearly need to be done, and countries can't get out of their own way to make these changes. Like humanity could be so much farther down the road if we actually had intelligent, educated, and willing politicians that actually wanted to make a change. But we don't have that.
Well, Okay.
Right? You don't agree? Do you not agree, Evan?
I mean, if you kind of strip humanity out of the whole equation in a way, yes. Yeah. You're looking for this kind of ideal, and
I'm not look ideal nothing. How about just a little bit better than nothing?
Okay, but
right?
Are there not? Where are there could possibly be smaller examples. It doesn't have to be the United States always. Smaller examples, smaller countries, cities, states, whatever, that do adopt those kinds of things, and we should look at them to see how their experiments go. Because it doesn't. I mean, people are still people, and groups of people can only move so fast. There's sort of this inherent, slowing down of things because of the fact that you are trying to get large groups of people to make those kinds of changes. It's like,
but the governments are empowered.
One comes with the other.
Like this. Let me just speak of the government I know the most about, which is the United States government. Like our Congress and the House are empowered to make decisions and make things happen. They're there for they're there for specific reasons. And the fact is, there's so much deadlock that nothing happens. Almost nothing happens. Like, we're literally in a party battle in this country, and that's all that matters. And when I look at it from my perspective, I'm like, okay, so they're more concerned about kibitzing about whose party's got what power, and we can't even pass bills that everyone would benefit from. It just sucks.
Well, I have some ideas on new political system.
Go ahead, Bob.
I sent it.
Parliamentary.
I sent a picture to Ian right now.
Okay.
Oh boy.
So Ian, if you could,
or is that AI overmind?
Oh yeah, we have all that stuff that we sent you, Ian.
Yeah, I know. We can go through all those. Let me just get with
it's very apropos to the discussion, and it's hilarious and cool. I just found it today. We'd have to zoom in.
All right. Well, Ian's getting that up. There's just a few quick questions or comments from the comment stream that we're looking at. So one, I know it's too late to change Celsius. You can't change Celsius. They should have made it 0 to 200 at the beginning. It's too late now. They screwed it up, so we got to live with it. The other thing is somebody asked, what about Nexus? Nexus is happening this summer.
Nexus doesn't have its own,
this is the first time this has been stated publicly, but things have happened that it was always probably going to happen, but we always wanted to make sure that we're going to have certain things in place. But we're over the line now, and Nexus is definitely happening this summer. That we haven't picked a specific date yet, but we will soon. So keep an eye out for that. When is Alpha Quadrant 6 coming back? As soon as Jay gets off his ass. And
let me answer that question.
So you haven't been busy, right?
Yeah, no.
Oh my God. So what happened was, we can't like have every project.
I'll bring this over tonight so you could.
Yes, I can kill myself.
Not outside, inside only inside.
We're trying to put our energy where it's valuable, right? So we love making Alpha Quadrant 6, but just like any show, it's very hard to get a piece of the pie because there's so many people out there producing content. So what we decided to do to kind of reboot the whole brand, we decided that we were going to do that Weta video that we made, right? So the Weta video is completely finished. As I promised Weta, I submitted it to Weta to give them final say on the final edit, and it has been stalled in Weta's hands for a very long time. So what's going to happen is when that video comes out, which hopefully, Christ, I've been saying this for a long time. I always felt like it was a couple of weeks away. Yeah, the editing is done, but they might give us, a few hours of editing work to do to tighten it up and maybe swap out a few things or whatever. But I can't do anything until they give me the approval and send me their edit list. When that happens, then we're going to recommit to Alpha Quadrant 6, and we'll give it like another 6 months and we'll see what happens. We might have to kill it just because, we can't be functioning in a situation where we're putting time and energy into a brand that isn't producing anything. But it is what it is. That we all love it, but it can't really do it unless it's getting the audience that we need it to do.
WetaWorks is a special effects company, the one that did Lord
of the Rings,
New Zealand,
and many other things.
Movies.
All right, here's Bob's thing. I shouldn't say.
Let's see this.
Here's Bob's. There you go.
Choose your orbital habitat.
Choose your orbital habitat.
What are we looking at, Bob? What the hell is this?
Well, you got to go through each little picture.
They're a little small, yeah.
Yeah. Here we go. Solipsistic warmongering banks orbital with distributed cloud architecture. Okay. Void Symphony Extravaganza with
Matryoshka structures.
Matryoshka.
We are not going through this whole thing.
Okay.
Unified black hole with apocalyptic delusions, superconscious hierarchical AI star god node, bioluminescent gender fluid.
We got the idea. Come
Okay.
on, get rid of this.
We'll post it later.
This would be well worth our time to go through every one of those because they were funny and geeky and cool.
So,
if only we had more
look,
time.
Look, a book.
There's the book. Yeah, we wrote a book.
The book.
Oh,
But
that
wait, there's a
book?
new
So
book.
couple things. I have a question for you, Steve. Steve, are we not going to say the awesome thing that we just found out about Nexus right now? We're going to wait a little while, or we could say it. I think we could say it.
I mean, I guess we could say it.
I'll let you say it. Go ahead.
Well, okay. You guys know who Bill Nye is, right? He was at our keynote.
Science guy.
Not last year, but 2 years ago.
Twice,
So Bill will be joining us for Nexus again this year.
Get some Bill in the chat. Bill.
Bill Nye, and he also
Meat
agreed
Space?
on the Nexus boards, who's actually going to help us.
Oh wow,
this year.
That's huge.
Well.
You know, having Bill on the board means that we're going to get access to a level of speakers that are very difficult to get to. So Bill is a massive asset. I'm just so freaking psyched. I mean, every time we work with him, he is a dream to work with.
Yeah,
because he's
fantastic.
totally legit. He's super humble. He's such a nice guy. He's fun to talk to. He's a hard worker. I just love working with him. He's awesome.
Yeah. He's always in. He's all in. He's like, yeah, whatever you want.
Would he be in your basement?
No, I don't think
doing the show.
No, he'll do.
I mean,
he'll be.
He's welcome. That detail has not been even brought up. I mean, I wasn't planning on it. It's not impossible, but I can't say anything about it right now.
But it won't make a difference. I mean, it would.
It'd make a difference to me. I'd like to say hi, shake his hand, on the shoulder.
Well, if he comes up to the house, Bob, I'm making him meatballs. I mean, it's not going to be like to shake his hand.
And Italian bread.
Meatballs with Bill.
Yeah,
come on, that's awesome.
All right. You want a few other things? Here we go. This is what I wanted to get to.
This is what Jay wants to react to.
I found this on Reddit, and when I saw it, I'm like, I have to send this to Bob now. I sent it to Bob, and his response was like, "Oh my God, that is the best dog costume I've ever seen." So if you don't know what this is,
second best, but I love it. I love it so much. It's inspired. It's obvious when you think about it, and it's fantastic.
It's from The Thing. Like basically, the first creature that you see in the movie The Thing is, a dog is turning into something.
Dog, yeah.
And it's a husky.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's perfect on every level.
Yeah. If I had a husky, I would have him walk around with that costume on all the time.
Poor dog.
I don't know what it is, but it's weird and pissed off.
What else you got?
It's well made too.
In no particular order.
The book.
There we go.
Oh yeah,
turn it down.
You're loud.
This is the hammiest acting of all time.
I don't know. I've seen
Break Blood Pack now. There you go.
It's a good thing they slowed that down so you could really see what the
boy, that guy's in a lot of pain.
Mr. Bean.
I hope he doesn't drop the gun.
Not Rowan. Oh.
I mean, how much does it hurt to get shot? Come on.
Can't you tell?
I've never been shot.
God, this is awesome.
I got some insight into this when it's done.
Okay.
Yeah. Here's my insight.
Turkish movie?
They said we got to make this movie 90 minutes. We've only got 84 minutes of stuff, so we got to stretch this scene out.
Did he shoot himself?
The guy has no neck.
He shot himself.
Who's that actor? I mean, is he an actor?
I mean, at one point he was.
All right, so Jay, I researched that.
Jay,
I researched that, Jay.
I've seen that before.
Okay, I saw
peer reviewed, Bob.
I saw the original. And it was a little different. First off, he's not screaming like that. Somebody must have added that screaming and slowed it down even more years ago.
That's awesome.
And they made it into something that's hilarious. But if you look at the original, it's not nearly as egregious as what you just saw. It's like, that's
come
not
on,
quite,
Bob,
it's not as Jay. I'm just saying the original like TV show that it was on, it wasn't as like, what the hell is happening? It was not as not as horribly
I don't buy
messed up.
Buy it.
You got corroboration. There's
like when
corroboration in the chat. They're saying the screaming wasn't in the original video and was added by the internet. It's really from a movie, but the audio is fake. Oh
Okay,
my.
but he still has this slow,
Shtick.
slow death scene.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
that face, and I mean, come on.
It's edited differently. It's not as bad. It's not as bad.
All right,
I tell you what, Jay. If
Oh,
you
pretty
saw
bad.
the original, it wouldn't have been on this.
I'm
on
gonna
this
watch it. I'm
stream.
gonna watch it, but I still love it.
I'm just saying. Yeah, so do I. So do I.
All right,
Still the
couple
best
more,
part.
and then we'll
they
get to
said.
the quiz.
Okay, we got a couple more videos. Let's see what this one is. Oh yeah. Okay, you want to explain this?
Yeah, so this is a emergency boat, survival raft that can be quickly deployed from any kind of ship.
Cool.
But check it out, like it actually houses a lot of people when it's at its final. There it is. That's it. That's it at its final size. I mean, that could hold, I think, 100 people.
Oh yeah, we got nothing to go with scale here, so we need. Oh, there we go.
Awesome.
Now we did. Now we have the scale.
I
They
know it's
needed those
probably
on the
not.
Titanic.
I know it's probably not happening, but I like to think that they're just dropping straight down. Like there's nothing breaking their fall.
Well, but it's like one of those jumpy
than their
gyms,
legs.
right? Once you get in there, you can just jump up and down for
Yeah.
fun.
You could
Yeah.
control your speed, I think.
Well, yeah, it's probably like they're hitting stuff on the way down or spiraling.
Yeah,
like,
those-
so it's not like a
those
40-foot
ribs, yeah.
drop. Into...
Did you want to do one more, or should we go over to Evan?
Oh yeah, let's do one more. I got what was that last one? Let me make sure it's
Anything
not
but go to
there.
Evan.
Oh yeah, here we go.
All right.
I know where you live, Bob.
We need the audio, and you got to hear it.
The audio should be there.
Oh,
yeah, it's really
geez.
quiet. I don't know if you can hear that.
All right, so basically what this guy
Oh,
did was his daughter had a bunch of friends over and they're playing with a Ouija board, and he goes up to the box and turns off the power in the room that they're in,
And
right?
they scream.
And they freak out. Yeah, you can hear them screaming if you and it's
It's really quiet.
it's
It's
too-
really
it's
quiet.
too-
That's
yeah.
too bad you can't hear it, but it's funny.
Yeah.
Trust us. Trust us.
Trust.
All right, let's get over to Evan because
Evan!
after six.
Hello.
Then
I have no idea what the hell's behind you, man.
I
Well,
think I know.
Yeah, someone guessed like in 2 seconds that we
Oh,
we
wow.
had a correct answer. Who the heck was it? Remind me, chat, on who it was.
Chat
I'm gonna try to look up the name. But in any case, you see behind me, hopefully, some letters and numbers.
Mhm.
Initialed letters and then equals these
What
numbers.
is it? What is it?
What is it?
What
Well,
you-
any patterns you see there that would help you sort of
O's.
discern? The letter O appears in
Mhm.
all of them.
O.
Okay.
The last two
A,
digits are all zeros, so there's
There is
Numbers.
that.
The numbers are increasing.
like a
Why
top
is-
A and a bottom A.
Any idea what
Well,
PO stands for? Or
Yeah, I know what it
AO?
I
I
know
just
what
figured
it
it
is.
out.
Go ahead, Jay.
I'm
Do
thinking these are the oceans and
Yes.
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 Oh,
this is probably
cubic-
their
cubic miles.
cubic miles,
Cubic
I would
miles.
guess. Definitely not volumes.
Kilometers.
Square
probably.
kilometers.
Kilometers.
I
Thank
went
you.
metric, my friends.
Good
See,
job,
I
man.
was
Look at
thinking
you.
ahead for
Kilometers.
this one.
Nice.
Yes.
Yep. It's so obvious now.
Pacific Ocean is huge.
And Elert was like, as soon as Elert from Discord, who's a patron, thank you so much, saw that and guessed like in 2 seconds and was correct. And there were a lot of also other people who guessed correctly. So congratulations. Well done, everyone. Way to seek out the pattern. There's always a pattern.
That was cool.
Mhm.
Ian, drop them the link for the quiz,
Let's get it.
and then we'll
Okay.
take a couple more questions if you have any.
Yeah, I do. Okay, so let me just hit the quiz going live. So it's darkenergy.games as usual,
yeah.
everybody. I'll post it in the chat and I'll give us our special link. Darkenergy.games.
Now, this is why I
Um,
love the internet, because there's so much creativity happening online when it comes to things like that video that we played, Bob. Like somebody sees it, they're like, "Oh my god, this is great," but I'm gonna make this even more bizarre and ridiculous than it is.
Hmm.
Or like, you ever see like
Yeah.
the
Oh,
GI
man.
Joe videos?
Mumble.
Yeah, like where they took.
I'm a computer.
I know there's so many of those. The GI Joe, I forget what they call them. Like the GI Joe, like it was like the little
PSAs. They're like PSAs, right?
Yeah, yeah, like they help kids like stay away from.
Oh
electrical
yeah, don't
wires.
do drugs. Eat your vegetables.
So they
you know.
overdub those, and they're brilliant. It's one of
Yeah.
the funniest freaking. They're still funny after all these years. I still. Crack
there's
up.
also a genre of that where it's PSAs.
shreds.
Like there was one where it's like
Oh.
teaching you how not to get electrocuted.
Yeah.
And like from the
that's handy.
50s or 60s or something. And in it, they have like this 10-year-old boy get electrocuted on like a station, like one of those transfer stations or as
Don't
part
do
of the
that.
PSA.
Wait. You mean they made it look like the boy got electrocuted?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But I
Right,
mean, it was
okay.
like,
What?
his charged, steaming body as he's being electrocuted. Like, that's a little
Oh,
harsh.
that sort of, yes.
Yeah, that was
With
they
the
didn't
smoke
Cool,
in
I
his
wanna
hair.
It
see
wasn't
it
off
now.
screen.
The whole thing.
Like, oh, Johnny got electrocuted. Yeah.
There's nothing
His
left
hands are
to the
smoking.
imagination.
Oh,
Looks
gosh,
we
it was
need-
like
looks like we
watching-
need a new Johnny.
Oh, watching the driver ed videos. You guys ever, they put you through
Oh,
that
yes.
torture of watching people who
Yeah.
have suffered horribly by
Pork
being
chop
thrown from the
sandwiches.
car.
Oh,
and
God, I love
I'm like, oh, really? I have to.
Oh,
I
God.
have to see this.
Doesn't work. Scared straight does not work.
Nope. I can't watch videos
notch.
of
It's
kids
like,
getting hurt. I can't see kids
Oh.
get hurt in movies anymore. After I've had
Oh.
my own children, I just
I
can't
have trouble
stand it.
reading about stories in which children are abused. Like a father was arrested for throwing child out second story window. I mean, I have a reaction. I have a hard time
Yeah.
dealing.
But
Thinking
after like
about
20
that.
years, Jay, you don't mind it anymore.
So you remember when I broke and dislocated the
Your
fingers
finger?
on my right hand?
Yeah.
Ever since that accident, it's very hard for me to see people get hurt. Like if I'm watching a YouTube video or something, whatever, watching Reddit, and somebody gets hurt, like somebody falls off a skateboard or whatever, whatever
Yeah.
video I'm watching. When I see that, I have a visceral reaction to it. Still, like it's literally PTSD from being badly injured myself. Like my gut drops, and it never goes away. I think that's it. I think I'm stuck with it.
Jay, I feel it too sometimes when it's like a especially nasty little injury that it's not like going to kill you, but you know that it's going to hurt them so much for quite some time. It's like,
Yeah.
Or
You
you're
feel
watching,
it
it's like,
almost.
oh, that's a concussion because they fell off the ladder and
Yeah.
crunched in the back of their head. Yeah,
BBC fails.
not my cup of tea. Yeah.
All right, Ian, let's do
all right.
this.
Let's do this. Okay, so we're going to oh, you know what? I never sent the bingo. Oh God, I'm sorry. I didn't Volfy y'all. Here's the
geez.
Volfy. So just in case you remember anything was happening. on the
Volfy,
screen, Volfy.
Wolfie,
There you go,
Volfy.
Volfy.
I'm hungry.
While we're
Hi,
doing
hungry.
this, so we're gonna synchronize when I say click. And countdown.
I'm Elfo. Oh, sorry.
Oh my God.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Click.
Clicking Z.
I'm
Very
joining the
good.
click.
Very clicky.
See what I did
And
there?
while we're doing that, I have a little video. I mean, kind of in the PSA realm.
Oh.
that we were talking. Not quite. Some of y'all may have seen this
Let's
Hi,
see it.
before, I believe. Hold on, I full
No
screen
problem.
Evan. Just had to stare at Evan for a little bit.
Hi, Evan.
Hi, here's the
Here we
puzzle again.
go. There's the puzzle again. Here we go. Let's see if you remember this one.
You wouldn't steal a handbag. You wouldn't steal a car. You wouldn't steal a baby. You wouldn't shoot a policeman and then steal his helmet. You wouldn't go to the toilet in his helmet
Oh my God.
and then send it to the policeman's grieving widow
What's in the
and
box?
then steal it again. Downloading films is stealing. If you do it, you will face the consequences.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That's from the IT crowd. If you
IT
guys don't remember the
crowd.
IT crowd.
Yeah.
Great show, man. Love it so
Excellent.
much.
Excellent. Copy.
I thought I saw that somewhere.
Yeah.
Blood on the keyboard. Nice.
Yeah. Classic.
Blood on the
All right, let's make it happen.
All
Matt
right.
Berry.
Quiz me.
Matt Berry.
Matt Berry is
Yes.
a god.
Matt Berry is a god.
Okay. All right.
Demigod.
If everybody's
All right,
ready,
look at that.
everybody's got the link, and away
We go.
we go. What year was the very first model of the iPhone released?
I know this.
2004, 2005, 2006, or 2007? Answer
Oh,
now.
I have to remember. I
Ding,
freaking
ding, ding.
pod between iPhone. I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Look at how small the phone in his hand is. I mean, that thing is tiny. That's how small they were when they came
Yeah, but
out.
it's how you use it.
I'm sure you
Sorry.
know a lot about that.
Hey,
Hey,
Really?
Hey,
And the reason I remember this is
2007.
because and it was
God
late. It
damn it.
was like the fall of 2007 or the winter because Perry never saw the iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Perry died that summer, so I tie those two things together
Mm.
weirdly.
That is crazy to think that Perry just never knew what a smartphone was. Holy Christ.
Nope, did not know the iPhone. Jeez, it's been a long time.
Yep. All right, here we go. Comes the next one.
The Berlin Wall was started in what year?
Meaning,
1959.
when did they start building it?
Start building, yes. 1959, 1961, 1963, 1965. Which one? Oh, by the way, it was 2007, in case I didn't say for the
Yes,
audience.
that was the
Yeah,
answer.
it was said yes, 2007.
Sorry if I skipped it. I'll try to say it for this one.
I think the iPod was 2005.
And the answer is
Really?
1961, and it came down in 1989.
I remember when they were tearing it down, I was very excited about it, and then I realized I didn't know much about it. You know what I mean? Like it just occurred to me. Oh yeah, I don't really even get what's going on there. Yeah, I know.
Amazing times.
Yeah, love my history that I learned in this country.
What is the biggest island in the world? Is it New Guinea, Madagascar, Great Britain, or Greenland?
Dr. Moreau.
Ah, yes.
That if you could see in the picture of that island, there's a cloud above the peak of that island. I think that was cool.
And also to throw people, they probably know that the way maps are drawn, it kind of stretches.
Yeah.
Topmost and bottommost. So what is it? The answer is Greenland, with 836,330 square miles, or 2 million square kilometers.
That's right. Currently, it wasn't always that.
It's getting bigger.
Greenland. I'm dying to go to Greenland. I would love it if we can get the SGU out there, maybe. And it's huge.
It is. And Denmark still owns it.
Bigger than
Last I
Australia?
checked. Weren't they going to sell it to the United States at some point?
No.
Yes,
That's never gonna happen.
I think that's a thing.
Oh, what is the largest continent in the world? North America, Africa, Asia, or Antarctica?
I deliberately put the map upside down, not so as you not being able to, but you can't trust a 2D map of the world because it's so unbelievably not even close to reality.
Yeah, that's a Mercator projection.
So distorted.
Yeah, there's always some distortion going on.
It's phenomenally distorted.
It depends on the projection, but yeah.
Phenomenal.
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 And the answer?
The answer is
80s band.
Asia. Asia covers an area of 44.5 million square kilometers, or 17 million square miles, about 30% of Earth's total land area, and 8.7 of the Earth's total surface area.
Wow.
We are getting some pushback from the Aussies in the chat that shouldn't Australia be considered the largest island?
It's a continent. It's not an island.
It's not.
It's not an island.
It's a judgment call at some point.
Well, I mean, look, I'm just going by science, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, like that. Chat. Of the 4 upcoming SGU shows, what one you the most likely to go to?
Yeah, thank you.
Which one?
I can write.
Is it the NYC private show, NYC extravaganza, Boston private show, or Boston extravaganza?
I'm not going to any of them.
NYC extravaganza. To pick NYC extravaganza. You picked it.
There better be no.
How do you know that, Ian?
Because it says correct. You have to pick a correct answer.
Oh, the timer went up.
Otherwise, it'll.
I picked the one that I think I'm the most excited about. Whatever. Like we're talking like minor degrees here. I just say I'm looking forward to performing in New York City.
Yeah.
I like when subjective questions have wrong answers.
I just look.
Sorry.
I get bored.
No, it's cool. It's all good.
What item below is not one of the 7 wonders of the world?
I
Great Wall
just
of
recently
China.
did trivia on
I'm
this.
not sure how to pronounce this. Chichen Itza, maybe.
Chichen Itza.
Chichen Itza, Big Ben, or the Colosseum?
Oh, you see, there are the original ancient wonders of the world, and then
Somebody's
there's the
going to
new.
It's the 7 wonders of the modern
world.
world, 7 wonders of the ancient world.
Right.
I
So
made
that's,
sure
that's
that some of,
14 wonders.
Future world.
I think the list
Red is
does
not on there.
change here and there. Like they might like put one up,
There's
but
a-
I picked one that was definitely not on the list.
Yeah, I knew this. I recently did some trivia with the 7 wonders.
The answer is Big Ben.
It's almost a rabbit hole unto
Big Ben,
itself.
Parliament.
Not.
It's double. Big Ben is doubly wrong because I listed a bunch of ancient ones.
Yeah.
We got a comment from an Australian that says we were taught in school that we are an island, but apparently an island needs to be smaller than a continent, so we can't be both. Boom.
Yeah, I mean it's huge.
Right.
Australia is the size of the United States, right, guys?
Right.
Or
Australia,
bigger.
wouldn't you rather be a continent than a dinky island?
Yeah. Shout out to all island.
Yes. If you're
Oh
living
yeah, I
on
got
an
nothing
island
against
right now,
islanders. I got nothing against islanders.
Okay, and we're gonna stop the game.
All right, so
Islanders? I thought you liked the Rangers.
let's see. Wow, not a lot of hundreds
don't
this
mean-
time, guys. Somebody
got
got
116%.
Ian, check out the stats. Somebody got 116.67%.
Cool,
That's
like
what I was
extra
looking.
credit.
What
They
the
ran
hell?
cheating.
Wait, I got to take a
You're
screenshot
cheating.
of that,
You got
For-
7 correct answers.
Frank.
Out of 6.
I got to
question.
screenshot this for Frank because he's got to see this.
Oh God, this person is extra smart.
All right, I got the screenshot.
Extra skeptical, extra smart. Maybe they picked
So
Australia.
You what?
Secret answer, Australia. We didn't see.
let me see. We got lots and lots and lots of 80s. All the percentages are off this week. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to even read these because they're all
Yeah.
Are they all
Waste
wacky?
of
they're all
time.
wacky.
Everyone did great.
Good job.
Everyone passes.
Good
Everybody's a
job.
winner tonight.
You're a winner.
So Bob and Steve are coming over. We're going to have Indian food tonight.
Ooh,
Hello, Ian, Evan.
I can't wait.
I
You
know.
guys are welcome
right?
to come.
Ooh, great.
No,
I'll have what
we have our
Bob's
own
eating.
thing to do. Evan
Chicken
and
tikka
I are-
masala and naan.
Yeah, I kind of do
Carbonated
have some
samosa.
work to do. All right.
Oh.
So Steve, I call Steve up and I invite him over. Steve's hard to get in touch with during the middle of the day. So I call him up, I invite him over. And then about an hour later, it occurs to me that we are having dinner together and that we're ordering it. So I'm like, hey, my wife, Courtney, we gotta order Steve dinner too. And she's like, I already ordered it. I'm like, what? I didn't even talk to you. She's like, Jay, I hear everything that you say on the telephone, no matter where you are in this house. Because I talk very loud. You know what I mean? She had already ordered Steve, and she I guess apparently she knows what you like, Steve. So she just ordered you whatever she knows that you like.
Mhm.
Yeah, fish and mushrooms with extra what else?
Cooked olives.
Cooked olives
Served on a Tonto blade or whatever that thing is called.
on a.
That part's cool.
All right. So but for that reason, I do need to bug out to get
Yeah,
over
we
there.
can shut
Whoa,
it down.
bug
We
it
do
out.
questions.
We can do one
some
question. Maybe one quick question.
One question. Oh
question
boy.
in 50 full pots.
In 50 pots.
Do you want one about power? Do you want one about placebo effect? Do you want one about obsidian scalpel? Do you want
Power.
one about
What do you mean by power?
fusion power?
Yeah, do it.
Okay.
Fusion.
Have they, meaning you, looked into any recent news about advancements in fusion power? I see headlines and want to know what the deal is, but I don't want to do the research myself.
I'm going to ask you a question. Answer your question with a question. Have you read my blog post this
Oh.
week about that very question?
Wow.
Hmm.
Where can they find that blog post? At?
Hmm. So this is what happened. The Jet Fusion Laboratory, which is an experimental facility, right? It's not designed to produce energy. It's just experimenting with tokamak magnetic confinement fusion. Broke their own record for generating the most energy through fusion, and their record that they set in 1997. Why has it been so long since they broke their record? Because they burned tritium, which is very hard to make and come by, and so they took them this long to get around to
Where's
getting
my
enough
tritium
tritium.
sword?
So the purpose of this experiment was to help them design and build the ITER, the ITER plant, which is supposed to be big enough to actually be a production plant. But that's going to come out in 2035, I think, is when they're planning on bringing that online. So this is, and when I say it produced energy, I don't mean net energy. It's just that the burning of they fused hydrogen, they burned plasma, and it made energy. It was not anywhere near the energy they had to put in to make that happen. So
No.
we're a long way away from net energy, which is ignition. Ignition is when the plasma is burning in a sustained burning with its own energy, with its own
Like
heat.
the sun.
Steve,
Yeah,
didn't
like
it?
the sun.
But wasn't also the length of time, like they let it operate for 5 seconds, and that was the longest a fusion
No,
reactor has ever
I
run?
don't think it was longer than last time. It was just more energy.
Okay.
It was averaged over 5 seconds.
Just a
It
few
was the
more
amount of
seconds.
energy that they were producing. But so it's, you know, it's incremental. Like I guess so many things. It's incremental. It's not a breakthrough. It doesn't mean we're net. It's right around the corner. It still could be 30, 40, 50 years, in my opinion.
50 bullshit.
Yeah, Bob is a little bit more of an optimist than I am.
50? Come on. These milestones, you got ignition up here. These milestones, these important milestones are dropping. And I'm more hopeful than I've ever been. It's not going to be 50 years.
But Bob,
Sure,
you don't know that, Bob. Here's the thing. In the
Of course.
1980s,
Yeah.
in the 1980s, they hit a huge milestone with
Cold fusion.
no, not cold fusion. With,
It's a joke.
Superconductivity.
superconductivity.
Yes.
Did
Yeah,
that
like oceans.
mean that room temperature superconductors were right around the corner? No.
No.
No,
didn't.
It did not.
It's a steep climb from burning plasma to ignition. It's a steep climb.
It is.
And
but if
yes,
you look at
but we don't
MIT's
know, Bob, if they're going to reach a plateau with our current materials and there needs some
Mm.
redesign or some,
Yeah,
whatever.
Shit could always happen. My point is that I'm very confident that this is not going to take 50 years.
I'm not confident. I'm
Shit
optimistic.
can always happen.
I would not say confident.
All right. On that note, guys,
Just wants to
see
see it while he's around.
Well,
it's
we'll
been a fun.
see.
It's been a fun show. I'd like
Yes.
to thank all of you guys. Thank you for showing up late, Bob.
Also, I posted a link in the chat to Steve's blog.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll see you guys over my house. Evan, I will
Have a
talk
good
to
weekend,
you very
everybody.
soon.
Take care, everyone. Be safe
good?
out there.
Enjoy the
Yeah.
weekend.
Bye bye.
Thanks,
Bye,
David.
everybody.
Outro.
Good
Bye bye.
night.
Bye, guys.
Remember Hill Street Blues?
Skeptic's Guide to the Universe is produced by SGU Productions, dedicated to promoting science and critical thinking. For more information, visit us at theskepticsguide.org. Send your questions to info@theskepticsguide.org. And if you would like to support the show and all the work that we do, go to patreon.com/skepticsguide and consider becoming a patron and becoming part of the SGU community. Our listeners and supporters are what make SGU possible.
We're back.
Boo. Oh.
I was like,
Whoa.
is Steve still here? Maybe he won't see me.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you're gonna hide yourself. So we did the after show without you last week.
Yeah, that must have been weird.
No, well, Dell stayed on because you missed a great
I
guest.
did.
by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, they were awesome.
She was freaking awesome.
I love Adele.
Yeah, she was awesome. So
Ew.
She says, "Fire to the rain, baby."
yeah, I mean, I
That's pretty
actually,
cool.
Evan, I recommend you watch some of the show from last week because she's a cow farmer and she had, she was just like really, really informed, very intelligent, totally knew what the hell she was doing.
Oh yeah. Well, like what Steve was talking about earlier. There are people who know so much more about things you think you may know a little bit about. That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
That's why being a specialist in things is so damn important.
Yep.
So damn
So-
important.
So what are you doing this weekend?
I'll be working this weekend. Plenty to
Oh,
keep
man.
me occupied. But that's it. I mean, it's that time of year. This is, if I got to meet my schedule. The point is, look,
Mhm.
I structure this out, and it holds true every year. I have an X amount of hours that I have of work that I have to get done by technically April 15th. I use that as my deadline for all this
Mhm.
stuff. So I have to find a way to make basically 1,000 hours worth of work fit into a time period from February 1st to April 15th. And in order for me to get an average of 6 hours of sleep per night, which is my goal, I know I have to work every day, and I have to work, at least 8 and sometimes as many as 12, but there have been days when I've been crushed and I've worked 18 and 20-hour
Oh
days.
my
So I
God.
do my best. So I do my best to avoid that by taking on work on the weekends and spreading it out.
I hear you, brother, but that's not healthy, man. I mean, you could do that in spurts, but not
I know.
not for months. That's a
No,
lot.
no, it's true. There's a there's actually a physical component, I find, to doing it. You're sitting at a computer at computers, staring at screens for very long times. I have to get up every 45 minutes. And so I build in break times into that as well, because I cannot sit at a computer like sitting here for 90 minutes. I'm already starting to kind of feel it in my lower back, and my legs are feeling a little ache and pain here. So every 45 minutes, if I can get up, get away for 10 minutes or so, then come back and resume my work. So you like anything else, you just figure out what sort of works for you, and that's what I have to do. Yeah, it is what it is. It's what pays the bills.
Hey, man, I know everybody's got, most people have to work, and I just worry about you because I know what it's like to be pushed that hard, and I know how like emotionally difficult that could be. Just want you to take care of yourself.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Maybe the hardest part is the fact that I do have to sacrifice some time, leisure time with friends and other things. I mean, I still do SGU, so I'm still able to fit that in pretty much. I may have to miss 1 or 2 episodes coming up, but for the most part, I'm there. I'm still trying to get here every Friday when, as much as possible, although I'll likely miss a few Fridays come late March, early April.
Yeah.
But so I still do have those little breaks and fun things that I can do.
So Ev, for people who can't afford an accountant,
yep,
what's your preferred method of filing on your own?
Well, the TurboTax program, I mean, in America, and we're talking about the United States here. Sorry, international listeners, I'm going to be boring you for a second here with tax stuff. There's a program called TurboTax, which is, good. I've actually used it or helped other people use it to get their taxes filed. And for most people, that works fine. It's pretty intuitive. It is flexible. And, it's gotten better over the years, frankly. So it's a good tool. Costs about, I don't even know what it costs these days, maybe about $100 to buy the version that you would need to unlock all the forms and things. So, if you're ready to if you can make the $100 investment to do it, that would be the way to do it.
Yeah, it keeps you on rails for sure.
Yeah.
So Ian, what happened to Evil Critter?
I'm not sure. We'll have to reach out to, I believe their name is Tara, and see if they want to come on.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, that
Evil, if you do, I know Evil said I'm just a minion. I don't know. It's like, but there's some cool things. Apparently, they're on the behind the scenes of is it Day of Dawn of the Dead or whatever, where they're getting their face bit off.
Yeah.
So that's pretty neat. So maybe we'll watch that on stream and judge how worthy it is of.
Definitely.
Well, yeah. I mean, Bob and I can definitely ask questions.
Wait, Evil Critter isn't still in the chat, so we could just talk. But Evil Critter, we want you to come on the stream. I mean,
on the
will
show,
send
we want to talk
we'll
to
set up
you.
a camera, a little mic,
yes,
real
that
deal.
whole thing. We want the knowledge.
Land
of the Dead.
Andrea will be back on the live stream very soon. Like I work with Andrea quite a bit now on different projects. We've become much closer.
Mm-hmm.
So she's definitely in our collection of close friends for the show. So she'll definitely be back on. And somebody else asked me another question about the storm. The snowstorm wasn't that bad.
No,
it's not that big of a deal.
No, it hit more east. So Massachusetts, Rhode Island got smacked. We got brushed, I would say.
We had
for the most part.
Worse than the snow is we had a lot of ice after the storm.
Ice and wind. Yeah. We were afraid of losing. Right, electricity was the thing because the wind takes the power lines down. So that's what you're worried about in something like in a storm like that. So always the scariest thing is the wind. Not too bad though in our area.
Evan, somebody wants to know: do you have to deal with income tax deniers?
If you mean
taxation is theft kind of thing.
Oh, you mean people who say that there's no laws right? Yeah, there's a theoretical argument that it's illegal for the taxes, for there to be federal taxes the way they are. Nobody really buys that, and I think that has been challenged in court and in many different settings, and a lot more knowledgeable about that stuff have torn that to pieces. That's not really legitimate.
Yeah, what if I
it
claim I'm a
is within
sovereign
the
citizen?
power of the federal government to levy these
Of
taxes.
course.
And I mean, what else? How else are you going to pay for
Yeah,
things?
we don't. I think at one point many years ago when we were talking about this same question, I said, the country doesn't run on snowflakes. Like if you don't tax the people, we don't have a country. Like
death and taxes, man. I mean, that is about as true a statement as there ever was. Otherwise you don't have a society, or one that's horrible.
It would just be nice if we actually taxed ultra rich people correctly, which is another problem.
Yeah, so there's many things, and again, we're going to run out of time here, and because we're going in a minute. But yeah, a couple different things, right, about how people should be taxed, progressive tax systems, and frankly, what happens on the other end, the fraud, abuse, and waste of taxes, that I think also can really be dealt with. It's not just the collection of, it's what happens after the fact, and so much of it is squandered horribly in so many different ways. That is a massive topic unto itself. So there's lots of things that can be done to make it all better and more distributive, more fair, if you want to call it that. Progressive, yes, and just better for everyone. Also, I got lots of questions here. How much time do I have?
Okay, let's do one more. I got to get off of here because Bob's going to be here any minute.
Oh, that's
right.
I was asked about what happens when I get to super interesting tax factoid. Okay, in the United States federal tax system, this is the United States, not the individual states. United States, if the tax codes were a book, there would be 100,000 pages in that book of the tax codes. Now, the tax codes includes a lot of things, and obviously most of them do not impact most people. But we're talking about corporate tax, we're talking about estate taxes, we're talking about gift taxes, we're talking about trust taxes, we're talking about all the different, when you combine the whole enchilada, it's 100,000 pages long if you're to read it like a book end to end. And again, that's only federal, not states. States also have on top of that their own books, if you want to add to that. And some states have tens of thousands of pages worth. So there's your factoid.
So if we made it shorter, would it make it more fair?
Not necessarily.
Okay, very good.
Not necessarily, but there is so much insanity in there. Some things just don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think somewhere there's, I'd have to look it up, like telegraph credits or something like archaic crap that they never pulled out for whatever reason. It just, they tend to add to these things and rarely take things out.
Yeah.
Because the carve outs, and that's part of the bloat.
Oh, yes.
Somebody they're chit-chatting in the chat, like what would happen if Bob walked in while we were doing this, like, because I think he'd figure it out very quickly.
Yeah.
Unless I was able to convince him that we were just chatting after the show. You know what I mean? Like, I think I would be able to tell Bob very easily. That wasn't live. Nobody was seeing that. You know what I mean?
We need to start asking the audience to submit
live
dates in which they believe that Steve or Bob or both will figure it out, and whomever gets the correct answer needs to get a reward of some kind.
Yeah, I will give someone a discount code for our store.
The only thing is, it kind of weighted towards people revealing the secret.
Well, that is true. It does offer incentive.
I feel like we got to figure out a non-incentivized way.
That's a good point, Ian. Very good point.
But so we're basically saying that we don't trust our audience at all, and I don't jive with that.
Well,
let me put it to you
as the moderator of the chat. Let me say, I don't trust them.
Okay. All right. I mean, we'll think about it.
Of course.
we don't have to give away anything.
Skeptic of these skeptics.
Right. We don't have to give away anything.
I'm getting excited though, boys, because the sample hats are coming very soon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to see them.
So we're going to be able to see what the quality. If the quality is there, man, I'm gonna take our pre-orders right away.
Lee Marsh, you're so patient. Thank you. Next week, I will talk about the red box. That's
What's in the box?
What's in the box? Oh, what's in the box? Yes, I promise I will get to the red box next week. Okay, for everyone. Everyone will
Very
enjoy
good.
that.
Yeah,
And Jay, you'll enjoy it too.
I'm dying. I think it's tea, as far as I can tell.
You'll see.
Somebody said, Jay, why don't you help Evan out? And like the answer is, if I were to help Evan, it would be adding work to Evan's total workload.
What, with taxes?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate
No,
that, but no.
No,
all right.
it's not the kind. It's not like, hey, help me dig this hole over here. and here's a
Exactly. Or
shovel.
move the table and injure myself for 3 months. It's not like that.
It's literally like playing the most complicated board game you've ever played, times an order of magnitude. That's how complicated taxes are. So yeah, forget it. All right, let's shut her down. Everybody have a wonderful weekend.
Ian, thank you so much for all you do. Thank you, listeners.
Ian.
Thank you, patrons.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good point. Thank you, patrons. Thank you for everybody that shows up. We really appreciate it. We love having these live streams. They're so much fun.
Very much so.
So do that voodoo, Ian.
Yes.
No, do that voodoo. Okay, I'm gonna toggle you off. Actually, Jay, I gotta talk to you after, so stick around.
Okay, I'll be here.
Let me toggle. Bye, Evan. Bye, Jay. Bye, everyone. Watermelon.